Did you know that John Carradine, the patriarch of the Carradine family, had over 300 acting credits to his name? That's not just prolific, it's practically superhuman.
That's incredible. I mean, 300 credits? That's like working non-stop for decades. And it's not just the quantity, right? It's the fact that his career spanned so many genres. Westerns, horror, dramas. He was everywhere.
Exactly. And what's even more fascinating is how his legacy didn't stop with him. His children and even his grandchildren carried that torch forward in ways that are just as impressive. But as with so many Hollywood dynasties, the story of the Carradines is as much about pain and struggle as it is about talent and success.
That's what makes their story so compelling. It's not just about fame or accolades. It's about resilience, family dynamics, and, honestly, a lot of heartbreak. And today, we're focusing on Robert Carradine, the youngest of the brothers, who passed away earlier this year. His life was a mix of incredible highs and some really tough lows.
It really was. And to understand Robert's story, we have to start with the man who set everything in motion, John Carradine. Let's dive into his life and the dynasty he built.
John Carradine was born Richmond Reed Carradine in 1906, and he was one of Hollywood's most recognizable faces for decades. Over 300 film and television credits, a voice that could command any room, and a career that spanned genres and generations. He was a true Hollywood workhorse.
But his personal life was just as sprawling as his career. He had multiple marriages, children from different relationships, and a lifelong battle with alcoholism. The family he built was massive, talented, and, let's be honest, complicated. Every one of his children inherited both his gifts and his struggles.
Robert's mother was Sonia Sorrell, an actress and artist. When she and John divorced, Robert was just 2 years old. The custody battle that followed was so bitter that Robert and his siblings were made temporary wards of the court for 3 months. Eventually, John won custody, and Robert was raised by his stepmother, Doris Grimshaw.
Here's the part that really gets me. Robert grew up believing Doris was his biological mother. He didn't find out the truth until he was 14 years old when he met his real mother, Sonia, for the first time at a Christmas party. 14 years old, meeting your actual mother for the first time. That's a lot to process.
It really is, and it says so much about the kind of fractured family dynamics the Carradines dealt with. But despite all of that, the Carradine children grew into a dynasty of their own. Christopher Carradine became a vice president at Walt Disney Imagineering. Keith Carradine won an Academy Award for Best Original Song for Nashville. David Carradine became a television icon as Kwai Chang Caine in Kung Fu. And then there's Robert, the youngest of the brothers, who carved out his own unique path.
And the next generation didn't let the torch go out either. Robert's daughter, Eva Carradine, became an actress known for The Handmaid's Tale and Runaways. Keith's daughter, Martha Plimpton, became one of the most respected performers of her generation. The Carradine legacy just kept going.
But let's focus on Robert. He was born on March 24, 1954, in Hollywood, California, and the world he grew up in was unlike anything most of us can imagine. John Carradine's household wasn't exactly stable, and Robert found his first real passion not on a stage, but behind the wheel of a go-kart.
For Robert, it wasn't just a fun pastime. It was a love that stayed with him his entire life. He started racing go-karts at 11 years old and eventually competed at the Grand Prix level in the 1980s and 1990s. He even raced in the Rolex 24 at Daytona in 2000. He wasn't just dabbling, he was a serious driver.
And then there was music. Without any formal lessons or even the ability to read music, Robert played guitar. He and his brothers, especially Keith and David, performed together in small clubs in Los Angeles and San Francisco. Music was another thread that connected the Carradine brothers, even as their lives took them in different directions.
As a teenager, Robert lived with David in Laurel Canyon. It was David who nudged him toward acting. Robert wasn't interested at first. His heart was in racing. But David convinced him to audition for the Cowboys in 1972, a film starring John Wayne. He got the part, and that was the beginning of a 55-year career.
His film debut with John Wayne was just the start. From there, Robert's career took off in all kinds of unexpected directions. He worked with Martin Scorsese in Mean Streets, where he played a killer who shoots the character played by his half-brother David. He starred in Hal Ashby's Coming Home, a Vietnam War drama that earned him critical acclaim. And then there was The Long Riders, where he, Keith, and David played the younger brothers alongside other real-life sibling pairs like the Keaches and the Quaids.
And of course, Revenge of the Nerds. That was 1984, and it became a cultural phenomenon. Robert didn't even want to audition for it at first. He didn't like the idea of being in a movie with nerd in the title, but his agent convinced him, and he he transformed himself so completely for the audition that the casting associate didn't even recognize him. Lewis Skolnick became one of the most beloved characters of the decade.
And then there was Lizzie McGuire. Starting in 2001, Robert played Sam McGuire, Lizzie's dad. It introduced him to a whole new generation of fans, and his warmth and humor made him the perfect on-screen father. Hilary Duff and Jake Thomas, who played his kids on the show, both spoke about how much he meant to them.
But through all of this, the career, the racing, the music, the constant in Robert's life was his family, especially his brothers. Losing them was devastating. David's death in 2009 was a turning point for Robert. Keith later said that David's death triggered Robert's mental health struggles, opening a door for bipolar disorder that never fully closed.
And yet, through it all, Robert kept showing up for his family, for his kids, for his fans. He fought his illness quietly, but he fought. And when his family shared the cause of his death, they did so with the hope that it might help someone else.
And that's the legacy he leaves behind. Not just the films and the roles, but the openness, the honesty, and the resilience. Robert Carradine was so much more than his credits. He was a father, a brother, a musician, a race car driver. He was, as his niece Martha Plimpton said, the best one.
Rest easy, Bobby. You were the best one.